The accusations are money that was meant for the dicastery was deposited into Mueller's personal account, $200,000 or euros. Other money deposited into non-DDF bank accounts, so not just his personal bank account, but other non-dicastery bank accounts, tens of thousands of euros, up to 100,000 of euros, kept in cash in office drawers, used as unreceipted discretionary funds. Müller was ordered by Pope Francis to repay $200,000, euros back to the dicastery. DDF official was caught in a surprise inspection attempting to remove out of the back door multiple plastic shopping bags of cash, hundreds of thousands of funds either misappropriated, improperly documented, or otherwise unaccounted for. Müller gave away a valuable DDF item to a personal friend without authority to do so. Müller was known for financial mismanagement. Those are the accusations that have been made. By the way, I just have to throw out some irony here. It's funny that Müller wanted to play these little dubia games. I documented all that in detail. Helm, Berg, Zen, and a few others played this little dubia game that Fernandez called them out for, rightly so. They played these little dubia games with Pope Francis. Interesting. They want, responses and answers. Dubia means questions. Send these questions to the Pope. They want answers to their questions, but then whenever Müller is sent a dubia, if you will, a list of questions by the pillar, I'm not going to respond directly to them. Interesting the way that works. Okay, so that's a summary of the accusations, and they are accusations. Let's see what he responded to. He admitted he kept large amounts of cash in the office, or that they kept large amounts of cash in the office. Admitted large amounts were kept in a safe when they should have immediately been put into DDF accounts. Then the DDF table was given away with the appropriate permission, he says. So he addresses that. And he says the DDF has not lost a single penny. The accusations made against him, just typical intrigue, already addressed 9 years ago. The accusations are artfully mounted as in cheap investigative literature. The accusations are clearly defamatory. The accusations are extraordinarily hurtful campaign. And it falls on the conscience of those who use reputational damage as a means of their church politics. The reports about him are bearing false witness, sins against the 8th commandment. Interesting that he bears false witness against Pope Francis. Oh, did I say that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, go and watch all those videos where I address how he falsely accuses the magisterium multiple times. Claims that the accusations are because we're often confronted with the question of why the former professor of theology of Munich and the Bishop of Regensburg, appointed by Benedict XVI at the head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, was not re-elected in office, and only after 5 years. We have to build a financial scandal, as in a cheap detective novel. Then he's sarcastic and dismissive of the claims. I'm very grateful that someone felt compelled to tell the relevant press organs an old story dating back to 2015, when I was head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Oh, interesting. Kind of like you guys dug up old stories about Fernandez from like 30 years ago. Oh, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. So he then claims he hopes he has unraveled every aspect of this alleged mystery, shedding light and total transparency and honesty of what happened. So you saw the accusations. You saw his response. What did he leave out? The money in his account, 200,000 euros in his account, left out that accusation, left out that accusation about being ordered to repay the money ordered by Pope Francis. So he wants to say, not a penny was lost, but doesn't address the fact that, okay, but they found the money in your account and you were told to give it back. Doesn't address the attempt to remove bags of cash from the DDF offices during a surprise inspection. Doesn't address hundreds of thousands of euros in cash were left to accumulate in the office of a single departmental official without proper records kept of where it originated or how it was used. It's a quote from the pillar. Didn't address the table that was given to a personal friend, although he addressed that he had permission to give away a dilapidated table, but not the aspect of to a personal friend. Interesting that he decides to address that stupid claim, that little petty claim, but not the 200,000 in his account, not the Pope Francis told me to have to pay that money back. There's just some things that were left out. Maybe he'll come back out and he'll say, hey, well, okay, sorry, I forgot to address those things. All right, let me address them real quick. All right, here's the deal, blah, 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 and go through each one of these. Hopefully he'll do that. And you know what? If he has a legitimate response, I will be the first person to immediately come here on YouTube and say, hey, y'all, here's what he said in response. And you know what? Checks out. God bless him. I'll be the first person to do that. If he doesn't do that, and he plays that game that Vigano played whenever the Vatican came with receipts against him and showed that he had a lot of involvement with McCarrick. And Vigano just tried to dismiss it by addressing a few things here and there, small things that are really irrelevant, and then ignoring everything else and just saying, people are slandering me, and that was it. If he pulls a Vigano, then you already know what this is. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, even though it may be implausible. Let's do that. But I have some sincere questions for him. If the surprise inspection and the investigation that was made here, if the surprise inspection and the investigation had not made these discoveries, what would have happened to the money that was allegedly in the safe, petty cash that was there in the office, and that was also found allegedly in Müller's account? What would have happened to it? So you find your friend has all your money under his mattress. Bro, I didn't spend $1 of it. Here's your money back. Okay, but what would have happened if I didn't find my money under your mattress? Yeah, you didn't spend any of my money, but what would have happened if I didn't find it? Would you have spent that money? Honest, sincere question. What would have happened? You think he would have came out and said, clerical error. Let me put that back. Put that back. Y'all stop playing around with that safe. Take that money out of the safe. Put it in the right account. This other money that's in these other accounts, take that out of there. Put it in there. Would that have happened? Honest question. If this story had not been about Cardinal Müller, it had been about Cardinal Fernandez, would this be all over international news and on every single Catholic blog, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all your infiltration YouTubers? Would they be talking about this right now if it had been about Fernandez? So how come Catholic media was able to dig up a ton of stuff about Cardinal Fernandez's kissy book, but not this about Müller? They could find some stupid book that Fernandez wrote when he was a priest from like forever ago. They could dig that up, dig up some other book he wrote when he was a priest, and they can put that all over the news everywhere, but they couldn't dig up this? Or could they, but they just didn't want to report on it? Again, I have to ask the question with my analogy. If you're accused of being caught with a prostitute in the front seat of your vehicle, a dead body in your trunk, and weed in your car's ashtray, and you only address the weed accusation and just say, I didn't inhale, but you don't address the prostitute and you don't address the dead body in your trunk, what does that say about those accusations made about you? Cardinal Pell came on for the Secretariat of Economy, I believe, in 2014. And that's kind of what initiated all this, is the work that he was doing. That's what uncovered a lot of this. But then we find out Pell was falsely accused of inappropriate behavior. Do you think that was related to this situation? Is it possible that Cardinal Pell was finding out that some cardinals were doing this, allegedly, and maybe they stirred some stuff up to make accusations against him? I'm just asking questions. When Müller was upset with Pope Francis because he didn't tell him why his term wasn't renewed, but he failed to mention all this other stuff. If all this stuff about Müller is true, and then he pretended in the media that Pope Francis is somehow persecuting him and not treating him right, do you think that this was disingenuous on his part? Do you think this is why we saw after 2017, again, he was not renewed in 2017. Pope Francis had him retire effectively, removed him at least from the dicastery, gave him another appointment, but he didn't accept it. Since we saw he used to be faithful to the magisterium, but after 2017, he starts to become a dissenter, publicly and falsely accusing the magisterium of heresy and everything else. We see that after 2017. Do you think that that shift that we saw in two very different Cardinal Müllers, the one who was defending Amor Laetitia and then the one who started to turn against Pope Francis and Amor Laetitia, that Cardinal Müller, the one who completely changed after 2017, do you think that shift in Cardinal Müller had something to do with this term not being renewed? Do you think it's hypocritical for Cardinal Müller to engage in these dubia fiascos? Do you think it's disingenuous to do that but then not respond to the pillars accusations and every one of them and just dismiss them as defamation? Do you think that's dishonest? And are you also seeing some parallels between how, so far at least, Cardinal Müller is handling this situation with accusations made about him, and also how Vigano has handled accusations made about him in relation to him not doing anything about McCarrick, knowing about McCarrick, not doing anything about McCarrick, could have done something about McCarrick, but didn't do anything about McCarrick, and then shifted the blame onto somebody else? Do you think there's some parallels? Those are some questions to consider. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see the full video, go to the link in the description. And also, while you're at it, hit the subscribe button. God bless.